The biggest sim racing event of the summer rolls into the weekend, as today we will set the official 42-car starting field for the third annual running of the PGR SummerSlam 499. Want to wish you good afternoon and welcome in to PGR eSports coverage of Heats 7 and 8, the final two heat races, before we go dual racing later on this afternoon, the final chance for drivers to advance. I want to thank our sponsors of this event before we get started. Our title sponsors, Blanchard's Towing and Recovery, for their continued support of PGR eSports and the SummerSlam 499, as well as our secondary sponsor, Ryko Performance, for joining the team for this event. Thank you so much, to Tommy Gossett and the guys over at Ryko for joining the PGR eSports team for this event this weekend. Also want to thank our Heat 7 sponsor before we get started. Superior Performance is on board for Heat Race number 7 this afternoon. Thank you to the folks at Superior Performance for their support of Heat Race number 7 for the PGR SummerSlam 499. Well, it's time to get it going. Welcome you in high above iRacing's virtual Talladega Super Speedway. My name is Dawson Wise. I'll be your host all day today and tomorrow for the 499 as well. In just a moment, I'll introduce my co-host Michael Triscaro, series owner, and a man that will be dual racing later this afternoon. He stepped away to take care of some race control duties before we get going for this race. We'll give you the format. We'll give you all of the information that you need to know about this event. The venue, first of all, is Talladega Super Speedway. As you zoom in on that Google Earth view, there is the historic venue that is the host site for the SummerSlam 499. 33 degrees of banking, 17 degrees in the tri-oval. It is 2.66 miles in length. Opened in 1969. It is the place where so many racing memories have been made, and surely more will continue to be made this weekend at this one. The most notable feature, the start-finish line. 1,000 feet further down, it allowed a couple of drivers yesterday to get the victory. Landon Velke and Michael Guest both utilized that extra little bit of distance to get the job done in their heat race during last night's events. And as we move forward now, the payouts, you see them on your screen. You see what that will mean for a driver that wins this event. $1,500 to the winner. You might say, well, second and third, that's a nice consolation prize. Fourth even, these guys are not going to be as happy as you may think with $600 in second. They want the $1,500 prize, and more importantly, they want that championship belt that we saw Malik Ray sporting last summer. Malik Ray still in the event with a chance to win back-to-back this year in this year's event. Heat winners get $30 here this afternoon. Later on in the evening, the dual winners receive $100 apiece, so you could be $130 up before you even take a lap in the SummerSlam 499. Telling you our heat format for this afternoon. The first two races this afternoon will be heat races. It is 8 heats total with 21 or 22 drivers per heat. They were based on a snake format of driver rating. As we know it in the service, it is iRating, which is basically a way to rate driver performance based on your finishing position. It is 30 laps, 100% fuel. Very simple. No pit stops for gas in this race. They will come into play later. 1 green-white checkered, should we need it. And 2 of the 3 heats yesterday did. And 1 fast repair in the pits, 1 physical and mental do-over. 5-minute qualifying on track now to set the grid for this race. And then we get into the important part. That's who gets through. The top 10 from each heat race advance into later this afternoon's duels. That is a total of 80. 60 have advanced already. 20 more from this afternoon's heat races. The rest of the drivers in each heat, your run ends. You get 30 laps, and your journey in the SummerSlam 499 could come to an end today. You have to make it happen in a 30-lap format here this afternoon in the heat races. And as we get ready, qualifying continues to go on the racetrack. Times going up on the screen as we speak right now. And as we bring in now my broadcast partner, it is none other than series owner Michael Triscaro. And Mike, look, you raced your way in yesterday. You'll be dual racing later this afternoon. So a bit of a unique perspective for you, getting to hop high atop the racetrack before you go strap into the race car. What have you thought about the event so far? Obviously, a lot of planning went into this event. What do you expect from today's action?
And I expect to see a lot of fireworks here this afternoon, especially in the duels. Last year, we did not have duels. We actually took the top 5 from the heat races, put those guys right into the feature and had some LCQs. So a little bit different format this year. nobody into the feature other than Malik Ray, as he has a defending champion provisional. So, I mean, I'll tell you what, this is going to be madness here this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss it on the PGR eSports Network. Duel number 1, Duel 2 to follow at 5:30. I'm expecting some action-packed racing. You got to get in that top 20. Those transfer positions, man, that's going to be crazy there when you get close to lap 60. Dawson, it's going to be some wild racing here at Talladega this afternoon.
You see the dual format coming up on your screens now. It is a little bit different than the heats. It's 60 laps this afternoon with 100% fuel as well. Now, that will not be enough to get you through that race. You will have to make one pit stop. And the most important part for me, at least in terms of the things with the car, no fast repairs. That goes away this evening in the duels and tomorrow in the SummerSlam 499. Another important part is 3 green, white checkered attempts. We've only had 1 this in the heat races like you'll see this afternoon, 3 in the duels and tomorrow afternoon's feature. The grid will be set by your finishing spot in your heat race, heats 1 through 4. Made it to Duel 1. That field is set. We'll set the back half of heats 5 through 8 or back half of Duel 2, in these 2 heat races. Top 20 get in the feature. Everyone else, you're going home this afternoon in the duel races. So the job's not done. Even if you advance, your job's not finished until that 60 laps is over and you finish in the top 20 and are racing tomorrow afternoon. Qualifying is complete. That means that it is time to go trackside and take you down to track level for the starting grid for heat race number 7. And there are some big names in this one, notably one starting towards the tail end of the field that we'll get to in just a moment. Let's get down to business. It's race time from Talladega in heat race number 7. On the pole, with a time of 52.214 seconds, it's going to be the Snickers Toyota Camry of Wyatt Gray. To his outside, it'll be the 34, the Super Speedway veteran, Sean Boundy. Back on row number 2, it'll be Garrett Caswell in the 88 machine, and alongside him, it will be Richard Elliott in the 02, another Super Speedway racing veteran. Back on row number 3, it'll be Justin Melikar in the 84, new look for him this weekend, and a brand new look for Joe Huerta of the Jack Shack, the Pink Fund, aboard that Chevrolet, a great cause this weekend for Joe Huerta in 6th. Back on row number 4, starting 7th, will be Chris McCullough, another veteran of the Super Speedway money racing scene for the McCullough Motorsports team. Is outside one of the upstarts in money racing. It's Miles Bagley in the 87. He'll go from position number 8. And then back on row 5, rounding at the top 10, it'll be Nash Brambilla in the 23 machine for Team PGR. And Zach Range makes his PGR return. He'll start from position number 10.
Row number 6 here will be the number 72 of Mason Flegger. Outside of him will be the number 36, Mauricio Marquez Ramos. Starting 13th, the number 24 Exalta, Hunter East, straight from a recruitment race. And to his outside will be the number 48 in the Cobalt Tools, Lowe's Machines, Sean Hilkowitz. Starting 15th, it's the number 3, Karen Dale Earnhardt Sr. on the race car, going to be Terry Wilson. To his outside, it's the 2025 PGR 500 champion, one of the favorites to win tomorrow if he gets there, the number 39 of Daniel Falkingham. Starting 17th, the 91 of Rocky Boyd III, and to his outside, starting 18th, the number 59 McCullough Motorsports, Mark Vondell.
So that is the starting grid for heat race number 7. It will be 18 for 10 spots. Weather in the bottom left of your screen, it may look familiar. It is static weather for all 8 heat races. The track is hot. 80 degrees outside, 136 at track level for these drivers to deal with. We saw engine temperatures become an issue. We saw tire wear become an issue, especially on the restart. You heard Landon Veliky last night say he never spun the tires on a restart in this car until last night's heat race when he was getting ready to go. So certainly something to watch as we get into this 7th heat race. 2 of them today, one of them going off right now. Heats 7 and 8 will finalize the field for dual race number 2. Another look at the race analysis, 30 laps, a fast repair in the pits, 100% fuel, 1 green, white checkered, 5 of the 6 heats have needed them. Top 10 get out, everybody else goes home. Mike, it's a simple concept, but when you get down to it and the race starts, it seems a little bit more chaotic than that.
Yeah, it's really chaotic. I'm actually a little bit less nervous today for the duel You know, when you're in this heat, it's the top 10, but you know, you got a lot less laps, half of the amount of time you have in the duel. And you just want to get to those duels where anything could happen. And I just feel more comfortable taking top 20 out of, you know, 40 than I do for some reason taking top 10 out of about 22. So we'll see how this goes here for heat number 7. Looking forward to it.
2 more heat races remain in the SummerSlam 499. Let's set the field for dual race number 2. Wyatt Gray, Sean Bounty bring the field into the restart zone. Green flag, we're racing from Talladega. Pretty good start both ways. Wyatt Gray bottom, Sean Bounty top. Both lanes 2 wide so far. Out back, first 3 wide move with Sean Hilkowicz in the 48 around Mauricio Marquez Ramos. That allows Hunter East to get up in the purple and blue, brand new Exalted colors aboard that Chevrolet. Hunter East, not as much of a newer driver as I may have thought. I got some background on him as he's been around the world a bit in super speedway racing, but certainly was a bit of a statement driver in that recruitment race back on Tuesday. He leads the 3 wide push for now. 2 wide up front, Gray on the inside, Bounty on the outside. Gray, another one of those upstart drivers, kind of started to hear about him, Mike, ironically, in last year's SummerSlam 499, and now Wyatt Gray definitely is embedded within the PGR community and the money racing community as a whole. Bounty leads lap number 1, and as they work into turn number 1 and 2, still 2 wide, not a lot of 3 wide action so far. The guy on the move, though, Mike, Daniel Falkingham in the 39.
That's what I was just going to say. I see the 39. You know, not the best qualifying spot for Daniel Falkingham, but it doesn't matter here. Here he comes to the middle as he is going to go underneath the 87 of Miles Bagley. Daniel Falkingham into the top 5 here early, and it's only taking him a couple laps as he is right on the door there of the 18 of Wyatt Gray out of Columbus, Ohio. The young kid in that Snickers machine looking to make some headways here this weekend. A lot of young drivers in the PGR SummerSlam event. One of them looking to break through and win 1,500. We have problem on the racetrack. One underneath. Nash Brambilla involved as well. Caution out for the first time.
And it's Nash Brambilla and Garrett Caswell, one other car, Justin Mellicar, that's going to come to a stop on the apron of the tail end of the front straightaway, and that is going to be what brings out the first caution. You see Mauricio Marquez Ramos has severe damage on that 36 machine as well. Let's go back, take a look at what happened. This was mid-pack. Garrett Caswell just made a move to be behind Daniel Falkingham in the middle lane, and Mellicar slips off the bottom just a little bit. May have been getting a push from Nash Brambilla. Gets in the left rear of Caswell, and it is all over from there. Brambilla catches a piece of this, and so does Marquez Ramos. I'm curious to see how the 36 gets involved on board here briefly with the car right behind Garrett Caswell that gets into him. Oh, man, Mellicar, there was really nothing he could do. I really do wonder if he was getting a push from out back from Nash Brambilla when this happened. As this got sparked. Here's Mauricio Marquez Ramos. He's right behind Nash Brambilla as they worked off turn 4. So watch just ahead. Nash is going to get to Mellicar in the tri-oval. And I think this is what's going to spark this. Let's see if Nash gives him a push, or if perhaps Mellicar just slides off the bottom just a little bit in the tri-oval. Oh, it's a push right there. Nash Brambilla to the back of Mellicar, into the back of Caswell. And oh, Ramos, there's the damage right there that's going to require the repair. It's that slap into the wall. Must have knocked the right front suspension off in this Gen 6 car. Well, Mike, early nerves for some guys. Nash Brambilla, maybe a little offset push right there. Is that, more jitters? Is that just, maybe he thinks that Mellicar can take that push? Maybe Mellicar's got jitters. Kind of, what do you see in that one that got the first caution sparked?
Yeah, I mean, these two teammates here this afternoon, Nash Brambilla, I mean, they haven't worked together all that long. Justin Mellicar, new to Team PGR. I mean, if you look at it, yeah, he came down a little bit, but, I mean, he hit him square. So it could just be one of those things. These cars are hard to control. Just yesterday, driving in front of Steven Miles, on that last lap, you're kind of white-knuckling it and holding on tight. I mean, when you take a push in these Gen 6 cars, I mean, you got to hold on tight. So I don't think Nash Brambilla really did anything super wrong there. Justin Mellicar just lost a little bit, but unfortunately the EOL will go to Nash Brambilla in the 23. You are responsible for the car in front of you. Those are the rules, as Mellicar goes up the racetrack just a little bit, and that ends up causing that wreck. But yeah, nerves definitely play a factor here for Nash Brambilla. I mean, he's been around here for a very long time, but no matter what, these big races, it seems everyone gets a little bit nervous before these heats, the duels and the feature. It's just a different atmosphere than you're used to, during our regular races here and through all other promotions. But Match Brambilla will get an EOL, but like I know from yesterday, you just got to lock in and come right back to the front, and he has the talent to do it.
We look back up front, it's all Sean Boundy right now in that 34 machine. He's led a lot of the opening laps. Wyatt Gray started on pole, has dropped to 6th on this first run. Some guys up front that have moved a little bit here in this opening run to the front two that I see. Boundy is first, Richard Elliott runs second, but Zach Range in third is up +7 from where he started this race back in the 10th position. Joe Huerta is fourth, the big mover on the night so far. And you mentioned it earlier, Mike, it's Daniel Falkingham, and I'm not surprised. The recruitment races earlier this week and the week before, Daniel Falkingham looked to me like the most refined driver, especially once he gets to the front. He can get to the front, no problem at all. He has plenty of experience on super speedways and otherwise on this service to get from the back to the front, but once he gets there, to me, looked like the most refined of the drivers in the field to this point in those recruitment races, throwing blocks, managing lanes, being able to keep himself up front. Another big mover +9 was Rocky Boyd. He's having a little bit of a blinking problem there in the 8th position, but you ride on board with him under the caution flag as he started back in 17th, nearly shotgun on the field. He is up to the 8th spot. And no one else really has moved. Garrett Caswell, Justin Melikar both dropped 12 and 13 spots apiece towards the tail end of the field. Well, now, Mike, you talked about the nerves as a driver. I'll speak to my experience as well. I've raced in a number of these big events, and it is very real, and it's probably still real. To me, it took about 10 to 12 laps under green to really start to take that deep breath and know what the goal was and know what the objective is for the race. It took me a little bit longer, only 4 laps. I don't know if these guys have had a lot of time, and maybe the Daniel Falkinghams of the world, maybe the Rocky Boyds of the world that have run a ton of these over their sim racing career, maybe those nerves have gone away. But for guys towards the front of the field that maybe haven't, I'm looking at a Wyatt Gray, I'm looking at, some of the guys behind him, Miles Bagley, guys that are, good on our weekly series but are not really used to this big event format. I just don't know if 4 laps is quite enough. You guys didn't have that early caution in your heat yesterday, Mike. You guys went 17 laps. You got to settle in. These guys don't get that luxury here this afternoon.
No, they don't. And, a guy I'm looking at right now actually sits in the 3rd position. That's going to be Zach Range there on the bottom in the 043. It's a guy we haven't really seen over the last year, since almost the last PGR SummerSlam 499 a year ago. So Zach Range, obviously he's on the service, but he has not been a part of the money racing community on the super speedways for a while. So I'm curious to see guys like him that are back here in this atmosphere and how they will do and how they'll handle their nerves. We'll see if a guy like Zach Range could come back, make his comeback, and stay up front here and book himself a spot in duel number 2.
Well, yeah, Zach Range, you mentioned it's been a while since he's been in PGR competition, but certainly didn't look like that phased him very much as he went +7 from 10th to 3rd early in this race. We know the aggression levels of Zach Range across his career and some of the developmental series that we had a while back, as well as the Thursday night PGR races as well. So we know his driver profile. It's just been a while since he's been able to show it. A little surprising to me, he has just diced his way through some of the guys that race on a weekly basis. We're going to get it back under the green flag. It'll be 24 laps to go in heat race number 7. Sean Boundy elects the outside as the leader for this restart. It's becoming a pattern. The leader has chosen the outside. Most of the leaders yesterday chose the outside lane for this restart. Could be for the run the outside line gets, but also could be the pushers that he has in line on that outside. Joe Huerta, that bright pink number 1, Wyatt Gray, as well as Rocky Boyd. That's a really good trio out back of him. Green flag, back in the air. Off they go towards turn number 1. Great jump for Boundy. Good one for Huerta as well. They'll both be cleared. Richard Elliott says, I don't want any part of that bottom. I'm jumping in line. As the field rises to banking of 1, all of a sudden, it's Range and Falkingham alone on the bottom lane.
Yeah, Wyatt Gray just didn't get going there on the start, but he's going to try to take the right rear of Elliott. It looks like he's going to get it on the exit of turn number 2 here, and he does. Elliott's going to go back just a little bit. Up the side draft, he's not going to get it. A great move by the youngster of Wyatt Gray. Here comes Rocky Boyd, as well as others. Miles Bagley looking back to get to the front. Zach Range, though, he's got Falkingham right behind him. And, man, they are flying here on the bottom. Range is clear to the top if he wants it. Right now, he's going to settle in. Boundy coming back here with the push from Horta as action is heating up here in the front of the pack.
Man, they almost both got clear. That was almost a Herculean effort from Daniel Falkingham. It'll still be Boundy and Huerta. They get back around at the line. Wyatt Gray's kind of in no man's land here, third on that outside. Falkingham bails on Range. He jumps to the outside in front of Wyatt Gray. No surprise, those two, 39 and 18, maybe working together. Rocky Boyd says, anything you can do, I can do better. To the outside of Gray. Looking to the outside of Falkingham. Can't get it. Gray will have to go to the bottom and now take the Daniel Falkingham role of pushing Zach Range back to the front. So Wyatt Gray grabs a right rear and then gets a taste of his own medicine there in turn number one as Rocky Boyd's getting aggressive up to fourth position, plus 13 for the driver of that black and red number 16 machine on the outside. Boundy leads pretty much uninhibited off of turn four, but that's going to change here, Mike. It's one of the veterans of the sim racing community, Chris McCullough, that went down, but now he's thinking about going back up. Chris McCullough a little indecisive on the bottom.
Yeah, he was there. I think he should have probably stayed on the top. He gets that nudge there from Range and nearly gets turned there. And that opens up the door for a guy, Hunter East, who got into this race as a free entry from a recruitment race. And he's looking to make the most of that and try to get himself into tomorrow's feature this afternoon in duel number 2. Right now, he is doing good here, tucked in the 7th position behind, or actually 6th position, I believe, behind Miles Bagley. We do have one blinking out right now. That is going to be Rocky Boyd. He comes back into the picture. But Rocky Boyd, I mean, they're looking like David Flanagan. David Flanagan yesterday in heat number 4 put on a master class. He was a technician taking right rears, and he got right to the front of the pack. Made a move to the bottom near the end of the race and just wasn't able to get the victory. But that's what you got to do in this car is grab those right rears. And you see Rocky Boyd, he's taking no prisoners here early. It doesn't matter who they are. He's going to go up and get it. As McCullough now here still in front of Range as he gets pushed up here to the front. They're back on the move with Wyatt Gray here as well. And another car here, the Cobalt number 48, making its move back to the front. So 2x2 through the field, no 3 wide right now. And 21 laps remain as Falkingham goes to the bottom.
And why am I not surprised? Daniel Falkingham, the defending winner of the PGR 500 and series champion for 2024, throws it across the nose of Boundy, and he's the new leader now in that 39. One of the favorites to win tomorrow afternoon goes right to the point here on lap number 9. 20 laps to go as we hit the line. It'll be Boundy on the push of Falkingham. On the bottom side, McCullough and Range. What Falkingham moving down allowed that lane to do was come way forward now. They're alongside Joe Huerta. Look at Rocky Boyd. Now he gets to Joe Huerta's right rear. 2 for 2 for Rocky Boyd in the 16. You talked about Flanagan yesterday with that record in heat number 4. Rocky Boyd looking to beat it here in heat number 7 as he grabs Joe Huerta's right rear and sends him towards the help of Justin Melikar and Nash Brambilla, the Team PGR teammates in the middle. Falkingham continues to run up front. I guarantee you that Daniel Falkingham's not going to allow that move to be made by Rocky Boyd up here in the 39. You'll see Falkingham throw it way out to the wall if Rocky Boyd tries that move again. Look at Miles Bagley. Ooh, Bagley tried to get around Rocky Boyd on that outside lane. And here comes Joe Huerta out back, Mike. Can't imagine that Joe Huerta is very happy with the way he got raced by Rocky Boyd right there.
No, but he's going to come right back, and he's going to do exactly what Rocky Boyd did. He's going to take right rears as well as he makes his way back up to the front. And, man, it is just chaos here mid-pack. Richard Elliott now in the middle there. Nash Brambilla trying to make a run back to the front in the number 23. Action all over. Falkingham still your leader. And I'll tell you what, one thing I saw yesterday, I believe it was Malik Ray, doing a great job, especially in these turns, to drift down the racetrack a little bit and give that guy in P2, in this instance, Sean Boundy, room to breathe so he can keep his temps. So that's one thing the leaders can do here is go down the racetrack just a little bit, especially in those turns, and allow the car behind them to breathe. You want that car to have temps to keep these runs and these pushes going. That'll hold off the bottom just a little bit. You'll see this top lane come down and also side draft this bottom lane. The top lane has been predominant here in these heats. We'll see if it changes later as the weather will change in the duels to a more forecasted weather format. So we'll see how that, changes the course of this event. But right now, we have a really good racing going on here in this heat. As right at the 87 of Miles Bagley now, the leader on the bottom. He's got a great pusher in the 04, Chris McCullough. They're going to make a run here up to the front.
Yeah, that's a good tandem on the bottom. Miles Bagley's been so good the last couple weeks as he'll go all the way to the lead on the push from Chris McCullough here down the front straightaway. But as I was saying, he's been really good in this car the last couple weeks in these recruitment races, and he goes all the way to the point here. Falkingham stuck in no man's land with Bounty because here comes the outside. Rocky Boyd with the push of Wyatt Gray and Joe Huerta and Nash Brambilla. McCullough goes bottom to top to throw the block. How about Chris McCullough, a veteran move there on the outside. Falkingham trying to hold strong, but man, that middle just cannot get connected. Rocky Boyd and McCullough now will be the dominant line on that outside lane of the racetrack. Bagley trying to fight back with range, but that is 4, make it 5, make it almost 6 strong cars on that outside. Really 7 back to Justin Mellicar. That is a really good outside line. Boyd goes to the middle. Rocky Boyd 3 wide for the lead in the middle. He'll go back to Falkingham though, no help back there for him. Bottom's going to prevail because of that Miles Bagley. And Mike, we are 3 by 3 by 3, 5 rows deep. Some of the best racing we've seen all weekend.
17 coming to 16 here. So wow, this is ramping up. These guys not waiting for the end of this race. Nearly halfway through, and this has been one of the most exciting heat races thus far. A lot of different leaders here and players here at the front. Rocky Boyd continues his master class right now, and he's got one of the best pushers in the race here in Daniel Falkingham. Bounty trying to get back in the number 34 as well, as Chris McCullough has a handful right now, as Wyatt Gray all over the back bumper of the 04 Wrangler machine. Man, this is wild here. Rocky Boyd, though, I'll tell you what, he's putting on a good race. Oh, Chris McCullough is going to take his right rear. Here goes McCullough back to the top. Wyatt Gray comes. Here comes Huerta. Huerta all the way back from the back, and Huerta's going to get back here into the top 10, into the transport positions, as is Mark Vondell, another player. Here he comes to the number 59. Dawson, this is one of the best races here so far this weekend.
It's hard to keep up with everything. You did a pretty good job summarizing everything that happened all at once right there off turn number 4. Falkingham back to the lead on the push from Miles Bagley. Range and Bounty battle for third out back, but I mean, guys are just all over the place, going middle, going top, grabbing right rears. It is everywhere here down the back straightaway. McCullough trying to push Bounty. They have yet to get connected. That's going to allow that bottom lane to roll through. Falkingham, Bagley, Range, Hilkowicz are clear. Now Vondell battles for that 5th position with Bounty. How about the McCullough Motorsports entry, that brand new silver, red, and yellow car on the inside for this weekend. Wyatt Gray to the top. They split Chris McCullough. He'll take Huerta. He'll take East. Bounty will go up with him as well. This is all over the place. 14 laps to go. 4-car breakaway up front, back to Vondell. They will catch up here as they get away from 2-wide racing. No breakaway possible for that group. Bounty falls all the way to 8th position, where he battles now with Garrett Caswell, who's back inside the top 10 after his incident early. Outside starting to get it wound back up, though, and again, that's good cars up on that outside lane. Wyatt Gray, one of the best pushers in the Gen 6. And Mike, look at this run as we're on board with the Sean Bounty machine. They're coming to the front and coming quickly here into 3.
Yeah, Bounty in the 34. He's got a massive run, and it looks like he's going to be able to get to the side of Zach Range. And now they're going to lose a little bit of steam, and here comes Falkingham and Bagley to the top to take that run. Falkingham remains. Here goes Wyatt Gray in the 18. He takes the right rear of Bounty. Bagley to the wall. Falkingham to the wall. Wyatt Gray to P3. Huerta to 4. Man, this race has been something. Hunter East now. Here he comes in 5th. As Bounty here now prevails on the bottom. We're 3 wide mid-pack. Nash Brambilla. Boyd, he is fading in the middle of a sandwich between Brambilla and Vondell. Behind them, Chris McCullough in the middle as well. Terry Wilson. And you also have Garrett Caswell on the top. I mean, I just cannot keep up with this heat. You know, what's nice about this, you see every week in the trucks, Xfinity, the next gen, a lot more teamwork. Well, this Gen 6 car throws some of that out of the water. You got to take the runs. You got to leave teammates, and that's why it's some of the best racing in super speedway, in my opinion, on the service. Nash Brambilla now. He's going to get the right rear of Chris McCullough. Rocky Boyd back to the race, top of the racetrack. And, man, this is on right now. 12 laps remain in this heat.
Yeah, Rocky Boyd and Wyatt Gray have by far been the 2 most aggressive in terms of grabbing drivers' right rears. And you see Hunter East, he's playing hyper defense here off turn 2. Ooh, 1 car on the wall out back. That was Garrett Caswell, along with the 72 out behind him. But for the 18 and for the 16, they've been really the two that I've seen doing the most. Oh man, Hunter East in the walls. Rocky Boyd went to the middle. That was a big moment. Boyd gonna have to escape all the way to the bottom here to the push of Justin Melikar, who got split just a moment ago by Rocky Boyd. He'll now push the 16 here on the bottom, and they've got something working here off turn number 4. That momentum came really out of nowhere. Boyd just jumped down there, and all of a sudden they're even with Wyatt Gray and that Snickers Toyota on the outside. 11 laps to go. Daniel Falkingham's watching this all happen in his mirror. Mark Vondell gets sideways out back. He makes the save. He'll stay with the pack. He'll file in behind his teammate Chris McCullough, but a big moment there for the 59. Falkingham watching this, kind of just watching in his mirror saying, man, I'm glad I'm not involved in that, and that Miles Bagley's been pretty loyal to him in the second half of this race so far. Wyatt Gray not making a ton of moves up front. You got to imagine that maybe those three have arranged something. Joe Huerta as well, guys that race each other around each other almost on a daily basis on the service. One car to the bottom, Hunter East, and again, not a rookie to super speedway racing or a racer in the rod car promotion is Hunter East. He knows how to get his way around. Made his statement against the money racing, best of the best back on Monday in the recruitment race. Falkingham up front, top 3 clear on the top side, bottom trying to get it going. It's East, Rocky Boyd, Justin Melikar, Zach Rain, Sean Hilkowitz, and Mark Vondell. Top side is everybody else. Mike next time by will tick off single digits left and in an incredible heat race number 7.
Yeah, right now off pace Mauricio Marquez Ramos, and also now Richard Elliott as he tagged the wall that last time by. Everyone else, though, all the way to 16th, within 1 second here, this last time by, even all the way back to Terry Wilson. I mean, 16 cars within a second, less than a second, of getting to the front of Daniel Falkingham. I mean, this is how close this racing is right now in this Gen 6 car. Falkingham right now, he just wants to get to this afternoon's duel. He is out front. We heard Michael. Oh, we got a turn right there. I believe Rocky Boyd in the grass. So is Justin Melikar. No caution on the racetrack, just 2. Boyd's going to come back up. We'll see if he calls it. Richard Elliott. Yep, he does. The caution is out as Richard Elliott has to slow down as Rocky Boyd comes back onto the racing surface. And I'll tell you what, he probably didn't mean to do that, but that actually ends up helping himself, Rocky Boyd, because when if he doesn't come back on that racetrack, I'll tell you what, we probably wouldn't have seen the yellow flag. So that's going to save him. That's also going to bring Mauricio Marquez Ramos right back into this thing as well, of all 18 cars in this heat with a chance to move on.
Boy, and it gives us a chance to take a deep breath, which I don't feel like either of us have had an opportunity to do, nor have the drivers in this heat. We'll go on board now as you're watching here the onboard of what happened from Rocky Boyd, and it's really interesting. So he gets out of shape here on a push from Justin Melikar, and I think if Melikar had lifted just a little, and maybe he's getting pushed as well, I could not see it off the top of my head, but if he's getting pushed as well, obviously there's nothing he can do. If he lifts just a little and lets Rocky Boyd hold on to this car, I'm almost positive Boyd makes the save and we continue on with no issues. So see, he gets him out of shape and he hits him again right there. And that's the second one that sends him and Rocky Boyd sideways. If he lifts just even a blip of the throttle, I think Rocky Boyd makes that save. Really, when all comes down to it, great saves by both of these guys anyway. I mean, yeah, they weren't going to get a caution at first, but great job to save their race cars and manage to go through the grass and keep themselves from getting any damage. Rocky Boyd, I thought for sure he'd be in one of the 2 walls, whether the pit wall or the outside wall, and he'd get some damage. He manages to get that thing underneath him and give himself another shot in this race from the back of the field. So tough break for Boyd and Melikar there, Mike, but maybe just a miscommunication combined with, look, the runs in these cars are big. It all happens really fast. If you think it happens fast in the normal current gen NASCAR race cars, this car takes it about 5 times the speed when you're out on the racetrack.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Melikar. He will receive the EOL penalty from race control. That will send him to the rear of the field for this next restart. And it's going to be a tough ask for him with, you know, how many laps we'll have left here. But we will probably, I believe, we'll have about 5 laps to go when we do go back green here. So he has some time. We'll also, so we've seen plenty of overtimes here so far during this event. So, you know, if we do get a late caution before the white flag, we would be going into that overtime period, which is only 1 green-white checkered here in the heats. It'll be 3 this afternoon in the duels and 3 tomorrow for the feature. So Melikar going to have some work to do, that Team PGR driver, to get back up into this top 10, but so will Rocky Boyd, who has been really good here this afternoon. He's going to have to get some damage fixes. He comes off pit lane, so he's going to be in the back of the field as well. You see Terry Wilson coming off pit lane, as is Melikar, but you know Melikar will be at the tail end of the field. So Ramos, he's back in it. We talked about him, the number 36 right here, and we'll see if he can get it. The Rubber Duck Racing Ford right there in the black, gold, and white, and we'll see if he can race himself back into this one. He hasn't really raced much. He's been off the pace, so he is going to have to get this thing figured out here on this next restart. But man, I am looking forward to this one. It's been one heck of a heat here, and I can only imagine what these last laps are going to be like as these drivers battle for the top 10.
Well, you used the word good for Rocky Boyd. I think sharp is the kind of the word I would use, even clinical perhaps for Rocky Boyd. It hasn't been over aggressive. It's been just enough to get him to the front without going over the edge in any degree. So he was able to get up front and stay up front. But I think clinical is the word I would use. It's a similar word as I would use yesterday for David Flanagan in the 31 in heat number 4 is clinical. You called him I think you called him a tactician or used some similar word. I would use that one as well. And Rocky Boyd, certainly, if anybody is going to go from last to first in this 7th heat race, I would put my money on Rocky Boyd. We'll re-rack the field for you. We'll go back green with 5 laps to go. Daniel Falkingham's led most of this heat. All the chaos has been out back of the Voodoo Donuts Chevrolet. He leads the way. Miles Bagley goes second in that blue and orange 87 machine. He's been really sharp today as well. So is Wyatt Gray back in third. Joe Huerta, the Jack Shack, looking to continue the Jack Shack representation in the dual races this afternoon. I believe they already have 7 cars represented across the 2 dual races this afternoon, so he's looking to make it 8. Chris McCullough is 5th in the Wrangler Chevy on the inside, a veteran. Again, a savvy guy. I expect to make his way into this dual race coming up in just a minute. Hunter East goes 6th. Nash Brambilla is 7th. Mason Flieger is 8th. Zach Range 9th, and Garrett Caswell 10th. Guys out, notably as of right now, Mark Vondell 11th, Sean Hilkowicz in 12th. You touched on Mauricio Marquez Ramos. Sean Boundy started 2nd. He is 14th on the racetrack. You talked about Richard Elliott losing the pace. He gets another chance. So does Terry Wilson back in 16th. And then Rocky Boyd and Justin Melikar have their work cut out now. With 5 laps to go, you got to get 8 spots or 9 spots respectively for those guys. So we'll look back there and see if they are able to race their way into the dual races. I'll tell you what, Mike, if you like what you're seeing, you talked about the duels earlier. I saw the field last night that will race in Duel 1 coming up at 4 o'clock. It is incredible from top to bottom between some of the big dogs in quotes of money racing to the pro drivers to the underdogs that have made their way into the dual races. Duel 1 is going to be an absolute spectacle. From 1 to 41, that field is unreal that we'll take to the track here in just a couple hours.
Sure is. You got brothers in the field, one on the pole, Justin Champagne, his brother Kevin Champagne starting in the 5th position. You have Kyler Wynn starting 3rd. He was the last Podium 500 winner. You got Michael Guest, the Coke Series driver. I mean, what more can you ask for? Even 41st, Jeff Merck, the provisional, the associate sponsor provisional. I mean, he could win the race. I mean, it is stacked from the top to the very bottom. I'm looking forward to that one. You got Cade McClenny, Colin Keister as well. Spencer Burns, a late addition to the field. So yeah, it's going to be a good one here as we get set to go back green here with 5 to go. It's going to be Falkingham on the bottom, Bagley on the top. And as we get to this restart zone, it's going to be a dash for the top 10 here in heat number 7. Who's going to transfer to duel number 2 this afternoon?
As he used to say by Larry Mack on Fox Sports, pull those belts tight one more time and you may not get another opportunity to do so. 5 laps to go. They rise the banking. Falkingham from bottom to top, off the bumper of Wyatt Gray, on the bumper of Miles Bagley. Allows that bottom lane to pull even. Wyatt Gray pulls even with Falkingham. First time Wyatt's been back up all the way to the front since starting on pole position for this 7th heat race. Down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Zach Range through the middle. Sean Hilkowicz goes with him, but nobody else is going with them. 3 cars trying to labor on the bottom. They just don't have the energy. Falkingham, Bagley, Huerta, East. A couple of others on that outside are really working that lane well. Here comes the bottom. Gray, McCullough, and Brambilla. They'll be even with the leader off 4.
Rocky Boyd trying to make a march from the back. Here he comes from the top to the bottom to the middle. Rocky Boyd shoots the middle of the back of the number 88, Garrett Caswell. He's going to take his right rear. What a move it has been from the very back. Rocky Boyd, he's going all the way to the front right now. Zach Range as well. He's going to try to stay up here. Rocky Boyd's going to lose his draft. Nash Brambill is trying to overcome a EOL here early in this race. We'll see if he could stay up here in the top 10. Chris McCullough is going to slot in a late block in front of Zach Range. Zach Range is going to come up the racetrack. Put Chris McCullough on the wall. Four wide, and in turn number 3, McCullough is going to shoot back. Zach Range all over the place. And everyone on the race comm that I'm hearing, man, this is wild here. Zach Range, Chris McCullough go all the way to the back. So is Sean Boundy. The race for first is on. It's Daniel Falkingham, Bagley, Horta, and I believe that's going to be the 24 there of Hunter East.
Man, this is unbelievable stuff. By the way, Chris McCullough, a meatball flag. That means repairs needed on the 04. The suspension is damaged. He will stay out and try to labor this thing around and somehow get his way in. He's still with the draft for now, but he's got some work to do. Trouble. Mark Vondell gets in the outside wall. Rocky Boyd gets turned. Marquez Ramos around. Caution is out, and several cars come crashing to a stop on the middle of the back straightaway. It includes Marquez Ramos, a guy you talked about, Mike. It includes Rocky Boyd, who we just saw a moment ago trying to get through the field. A couple other cars involved as well. They crashed to a stop in the middle of the Alabama Gang super stretch. Start to go back and take a look at this one on the PGR eSports replay. This started back around 15th position with Mark Vondell stuck in the middle. And does he try to find himself a gap? You see that gap start to open? And does he try to take it here in front of Rocky Boyd? He does, and it's just a little bit too late. Boyd gets to the right rear, and from there it is on. Zach Range is in this. Sean Boundy is in this as well. There are a couple of really, really good race cars that are involved in a crash. Now, the lucky part is you've got a fast repair in the pits if you're some of these guys. But Mike right here, Mark Vondell, I see where he's going. I think it's just it's a little too late. He hesitates just a little bit in the exit of turn number 2.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this actually happen quite a few times throughout the heats. And I'm not sure if it's guys just not knowing, like in Vondell's situation here, not knowing if his right rear, was grabbed there. But you saw Rocky Boyd, he had it there as Boyd had it pinned practically all the way to the wall. And once you have that position, you got that right rear, it's unfortunate there for Vondell. I'm assuming he will be the cause of caution here. Zach Range, actually, his chat gets disabled. So a lot of sparks flying here in the session. But Mark Vondell, man, we love Mark Vondell definitely here in PGR. Unfortunate there for him. Probably will get that EOL, but I mean, still anything could happen. We're going to go into overtime here. Obviously, a lot of cars coming down pit lane, take some service here, possibly some fast repairs. So we're going to see a mad dash to the finish with no yellows. So still, I'll tell you what, with only an 18-car field, Dawson, I really still think this is anyone's game here to move on to the duels here this afternoon, but we'll see how this all shapes out. Because Chris McCullough, probably the biggest break there with that meatball. I mean, he could have seen that caution come at a more perfect time. If he still has a fast repair and he can get that, he is back into contention here. So a lot can happen here. Here in these closing laps. I'm looking forward to this green-white checker.
Yeah, only one attempt, so we will race it out. You heard Mike detailing right there. We will try to finish this race under green by any means necessary. And you mentioned guys having work cut out for them coming from the back, and I think back to 2 examples from yesterday's racing. I think of Gordon Spain, who on the last lap went from 2nd to 14th and drove back into the 4th position to race into this dual race this afternoon. And I think of Andrew Zanto in the 06. Again, another car involved in a crash, goes to the back, gets all the way back to 6th, and he raced his way into the dual race. It is by no means impossible, and I'm sure I'm not thinking of guys from day one and even from last night that managed to get their way back into the field. Justin Branham comes to mind in the 58. He was almost dead last in last night's heat race as well. He races in the 10th position, so by no means is it impossible. Chaos will erupt here on this restart. Guaranteed, at some point, it will happen. It may not be in the form of a crash. It may be in the form of a block or somebody getting in the wall, but it will happen. It happened in all 3 heat races yesterday. It happened in all 3 heat races on Thursday night. So you expect the unexpected on this restart from about 11th on back, or really about 8th on back, which is where Nash Brambilla sits. Justin Melikar, good recovery for the 84. He was involved in that incident with Rocky Boyd just a few moments ago. He's recovered to be in the 10th position. He'll now look for Rocky Boyd to come back to the front as well towards the tail end of this field after getting involved in that caution. We will re-rack the field for you as we get ready to go back under the green flag for the final time in heat race number 7. It continues to be Daniel Falkingham running up front. He used to us saying that this weekend. He's led a lot of laps in this heat race. Expect more of the same should he advance this afternoon. Miles Bagley behind him in the 2nd spot has run very well in that 87 machine. Row 2 going to be Joe Huerta in the Pink Fun Chevrolet, and Hunter East in the Exalta Chevy running 4th. Out of the recruitment race, you know, these kinds of entries are so cool to me. We saw a couple get in yesterday based on free entries, so these kinds of storylines are so cool to see. A guy that maybe joined a hosted race earlier in the week just wanting to race, not even racing for anything, and now you're just a few laps away from advancing in an event that maybe you had no intention of running before Monday night. What a cool storyline that would be. Again, we had several yesterday that advanced. One that comes to mind from day one is Andre Chicom in the 12 machine from, I believe, heat race number 3. He managed to get in after his car was destroyed. He's one of the free entries. So many cool stories with those free entry cars. I know that Hunter East is one of them. I don't know if we have any others in this field. Mason Flieger, I think, back in the 11th position, is one of those cars as well. Could also be Mauricio Marquez Ramos. There's a couple cars in this field that I think took these free entries. And Mike, the storyline is so cool when those guys managed to race their way into the dual races this afternoon.
It's a cool thing. I started doing that, a year ago before the first SummerSlam, and didn't really think that it was going to catch fire like it did, and kind of hit lightning in a bottle with them. And it's a great way of growing the field, but also growing the community. Obviously, you're not going to get all those guys. You're only going to get a handful of them that are going to race, weekly. But hey, it's more guys than you had last week, and that's the way we look at it. And you get the what's nice about these events now. This is the 3rd annual. It's really the 2nd time we've ran the SummerSlam at the stature that it is this year. Being last year 155 entries up to 173 this year. You look back in January at the inaugural PGR 500 with 240 entries. Now we have an email catalog with all the drivers from all of our events. And, we're able to go into January 2026 and aim for 300 entries and maybe start these recruitment races way earlier for that event. And, our goal right now for the PGR 500 is to start is to pay out the most amount of money in super speedway money racing. So we'll see. Back to green we go. Sorry about that little rant, but Daniel Falkingham here is going to lead us into turn number 1. Horta here on the bottom. He's getting shoved by Wyatt Gray. On the top, it's going to be Bagley. Bagley getting a push from Hunter East. Those 5 right now look solid. We'll see how it transfers. We got a lot of guys here in the back looking to get into the top 10.
When they come back, they'll see the white flag if they make it another half a lap around this super speedway. Falkingham leads. The run is on the bottom. Here comes Joe Huerta for the Jack Shack. He gets alongside Bagley. The push is not there on the top side. They're tandem on the bottom. Huerta will take a brief turn out front. Almost trouble in the middle of the pack with Flieger and Terry Wilson. They work off turn number 4 for the 2nd and last time. They'll see the white flag at about 1,000 feet. Falkingham pushed now way out ahead by Bagley as they hit the line. White flag is up. 1 lap to go. Heat race number 7.
We got 8 cars here in the front right now. Terry Wilson in 9th, Nash Brambilla in 10th, but they're 3 wide for the last transfer spot. Zach Range now inches ahead of Nash Brambilla. They're 3 wide all the way to the back. It's Brambilla and Range for that last spot. Terry Wilson also holding on. Mason Flegger. Here we go for the transfer. Nash Brambilla. Oh, Wyatt Gray. Late block. Oh, he's lucky he didn't wreck. That could have been an EOL. Horta down to the bottom. Falkingham leads it here. As Horta back to the top.
Oh, Nash Brambilla gets turned. Mark Vondell's in it. Big crash out back. Hilkowicz, Vondell, Rocky Boyd, Terry Wilson, Sean Bowdy, and that's in the transfer spots. Up front for the heat win. No move from Bagley. He gets to the wall. He's going to get a shot at it. At the line. Falkingham wins it by a nose over Miles Bagley and Hunter East. And out back, it is chaos for the final transfer spots as several drivers crash on the exit of turn number 4.
Yeah, I'm watching the finish here. I mean, there is so much to unpack here, as there always is on the last lap. I'm watching Miles Bagley. He's going to go to the wall, but actually, I believe East maybe gets into Bagley. I don't think there's going to be any problems here. I believe they all just kind of finished where they were going to finish anywhere, as these two kind of doored one another coming to the line. I don't expect to see any EOLs here. I don't expect anything to change. We will see, but yeah, really chaos out back. Justin Melikar is actually going to look like he's going to be that final transfer position. It looks like Nash Brambilla was not clear according to race control, and that would have been his second EOL and a drive-through. Not that that really matters, but I mean, it was just crazy racing. Horta threw a block on range that I thought was actually going to create a wreck. We got some drivers calling for something there in the front. I'm not sure if we're going to see that call, though. Nash Brambilla, yeah, comes down to the bottom and cuts the nose off of the car right here. I believe, yeah, that's Sean Hilkowitz. Hilkowitz not happy. He had Terry Wilson behind him. So, yeah, it definitely going to be a lot to look at and unpack here. But no, hey, Dawson, I appreciate you having me here for this heat. Man, I hope everyone watching here sticks around, watches heat number 8, watches the duels this afternoon. I'm going to jump over to RC for the next heat, but guys, up here, you're doing an excellent job here in the booth. The producing's been awesome, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Mike, here for your help in heat race number 7. Bid you good luck here in race controlling throughout the rest of the day. Also, best of luck to Mike as he races later on in dual race number 1. We look forward to seeing the series owner try to make tomorrow afternoon's race. We'll go quickly through the results first, I think, and then we'll get to Daniel Falkingham. I don't see him yet in the waiting room, so let's try to run through who makes the field for the dual races, and then we'll hopefully hear from the driver of the 39, Daniel Falkingham. Falkingham, the winner of heat race number 7 by 3/100ths of a second over Miles Bagley. What a race for the 87. Great drive for that driver. Hunter East from a free entry to dual race number 2. He'll start towards the front later this afternoon in that 24. He'll go 3rd. And Richard Elliott, really great recovery for Richard Elliott. He lost the draft a while ago, got a caution that helped him out, and manages to race his way in the 4th spot. Garrett Caswell as well went to the back in an early incident. He finishes in 5th. It's Joe Huerta for the Jack Shack that will be racing with some of his teammates later in dual race number 2 in 6th. Wyatt Gray ran a good race for himself. He finishes 7th. He'll start towards the tail end of that second dual race. Mauricio Marquez Ramos just involved in an incident that sent us to overtime. That's how fast your luck can change. He goes 8th. Zach Range is in. His return to PGR successful. He'll race in the duels. He'll go 9th. And Justin Melikar gets the final transfer position in 10th. Those are the guys that are in. Here are the guys that are not. In the 11th spot, Rocky Boyd, an unfortunate ending to his run after he ran up front quite a bit in this race. Same for Sean Boundy, who started 12th. His event comes to an end here today. Mason Flieger finishes 13th. Terry Wilson in 14th. Mark Vondell in 15th. All 3 of those cars eliminated. So is Sean Hilkowitz in the 16th spot, involved in that last lap crash with Nash Brambilla, who finishes 17th. And Chris McCullough never recovered from that right front wheel damage. He finishes in the 18th position in this afternoon's race. So those are the drivers in or out. Now it's time to head trackside for the man that I kind of expected we'd be talking to at some point this weekend. It's the driver of the 39, Daniel Falkingham, the race winner of heat race number 7. As he wheels it, leads a lot of laps in this one. Looks very sharp, very calm, very collected. And like one of the favorites, like we anticipated, a name that you should circle for tomorrow afternoon's SummerSlam 499. It's Heat 7 winner Daniel Falkingham in Heat Race Victory Lane. Daniel, it's Dawson up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I got you.
Well, look, you know, all the chaos seems to happen behind you. You lead a lot of laps in this one, work well at the front, and that's kind of a pattern that we've seen over the last couple weeks in this race car for you. A Heat 7 victory, to me, you made it look somewhat easy. What did you see in the car that helped you get to victory lane today at Talladega?
Yeah, just thankfully everything just played out straightforward for us. Thankfully it was pretty simple. There's only like 18 guys in our heat, and I expected there's usually around like 20, 21 that are usually in the heat, so it made it a little bit easier that we didn't have to worry about too many people about like getting into that top 10. So thankfully it was a straightforward race for us, and thankfully I had some good help with a lot of people wanting to work with me, trying to make sure we all made the duel, because at the end of the day, that's what goal number 1 is at the end of the day. So thankfully, got shout out Miles Bagley, Joe Huerta, Wyatt Gray. They were like the main guys I was definitely working with. Also, Zach Range reached out to me at one point in time trying to work with him. So appreciate all those guys wanting to work together. I'm glad we all made it right there. So, yeah, thankful for all the help, and hopefully we can have the similar result when we get to the duel race. But thankfully, so far, it's all straightforward, which is kind of the way I like it.
Well, absolutely. It looked very straightforward for you up front. Well, step 1 complete. Step 2 up next is the duel races, one step away from racing in Sunday afternoon SummerSlam 499. You've kind of been through this process before, obviously made your way into the duels for February's PGR 500 before ultimately winning that event on Sunday, so you know your way around a duel race. How do you attack it this afternoon as you'll be lining up in duel race number 2 in the top 4 starting positions? What's the plan of attack for the 39 to be racing on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, just kind of do what we did in the heat race and just go out, hopefully, and just finish well. That's a good thing is we actually got a really good starting spot because there's going to be like 40 cars lined up in the duel. So having a lot of good track position in that race is going to be very important because it's going to be way more chaotic and it's going to be way more competitive than what this heat race was. So we got the track position to start, and hopefully we can keep it because I know there's going to be a lot of good guys. They're going to be trying to make that top 20. Theoretically, it should be a little bit easier, but definitely there's going to be it's going to be very competitive to all those guys that are going to try to make it in there. So looking forward to the duel later on, and hopefully we can have the same success like we had just now.
Obviously looking forward to that second duel race coming up later this afternoon. But right now, a trip to PGR Victory Lane for you in heat race number 7. So before we let you go and have a bit of a quick turnaround here for duel race number 2, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to Mike and Baker for putting this stuff on. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting. Y'all have had some very good broadcasts the last couple of days covering this so far. I hope y'all keep up the good work all the way through Sunday. So love the work y'all are doing, and yeah, it's really awesome to watch so far this weekend. So shout out to you guys for all the production, all the broadcasting you guys do. Shout out to everyone who comes down to races to make all this stuff possible. Shout out to Wyatt Gray, who's like my really big teammate that I had in this race today. So shout out to him, and also shout out to all the other guys I mentioned for working with me, being nice to me, so we could all make sure we can make it to that duel race. So mission accomplished. And shout out to everyone watching so far. It's a good afternoon of racing coming up.
A great afternoon coming up later on in the duels, but right now you are in victory lane for heat race number 7. Dan, congrats on the win. We'll let you go start to prep for this quick turnaround to duel race number 2. Best of luck the rest of the way in this weekend, and we'll see if we're talking to you sometime again. Yeah, I appreciate it. Also, getting one more shout out to Evan Carlbon, who painted up this beautiful Voodoo Donuts car for me. It was kind of like, it was all made up as a joke at the beginning of a certain video that I got around to some old Jack Shack guys, and it's became a reality on a beautiful race car that old Evan Carlbon painted me. So, got to give a shout out to him, and we're making it look pretty so far. We're 1 for 1 so far this weekend. 1 for 1 for you, Dan. Good luck the rest of the weekend, and we'll see if we're talking to you again soon. All right, thanks, Dawson. Daniel Falkingham, winner of heat race number 7. Here in the SummerSlam 499. A chaotic one. This is probably the best one that we've had in terms of racing and big moves and big moments. And boy, does that set the stage for what we've got coming up. What we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing we did the other night. We'll take a short break. We'll step aside and get ready for heat race number 8, get all of our equipment switched over so that we can bring you coverage of the final heat race. The final 10 drivers racing in a duel is coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll take a short break. We'll step aside. Stay with us, though. You're watching PGR eSports coverage of the heat races for the SummerSlam 499. I want to thank Superior Performance for their sponsorship of Heat 7. Heat 8 coming up after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
7 heat races have come and gone, and it leaves us with just one race remaining to set the field for this evening's dual races, the 3rd annual running of the PGR SummerSlam 499, 30 laps between us and the 80 drivers who will be remaining in the event, looking to race into tomorrow afternoon's biggest sim racing event of the summer. I want to thank our sponsors first as we come onto the air once again. Blanchard's Towing and Recovery for their continued support of PGR eSports and the SummerSlam 499, longtime partners, as well as our new partners for this event, Ryko Performance, Tommy Gossett, and all of the folks over at Ryko for bringing their support to this great event this weekend. Thank you so much to both of our title sponsors, as well as to our Heat 8 sponsor here for this event. It will be I believe it's Mark Vondell Racing for this 8th heat race, and VRX Simulators. VRX with Brian Hennings in this event. Fitting, Brian Hennings will be in the field, as well as Mark Vondell Racing for their support of heat race number 8. Thank you to all of our sponsors who've come on for this event as we get ready to bring you the final heat race of the weekend as we set the field for the duels. The venue the same, Talladega Super Speedway in virtual Lincoln, Alabama, 2.66 miles in length, 33 degrees of banking in the turns, 17 degrees into the tri-oval. And again, the most notable feature of this racetrack, the start-finish line, 1,000 feet further down the tri-oval than it is at Daytona International Speedway, its sister track. Again, almost 60 years of operation for Talladega, so many racing moments over its history, and more set to be made here this afternoon, and of course tomorrow afternoon in the SummerSlam 499. The payouts on your screen now, $1,500 and a championship belt up for grabs in tomorrow afternoon's feature event. Some good consolation prizes, you may think, but again, these drivers, especially the ones that have tasted victory before, they are wanting that belt and that $1,500. That is really all they are here for. Final heat winner will get $30. Dual winners this afternoon will get $100 apiece. So a chance that you could be profiting $100 before you even turn a lap in tomorrow afternoon's feature event. Working into the heat format now, this is the 8th and final heat race. There will be closer to that 21-22 number in this heat. The heat's set by iRating, which is a driver rating that is based on your performance in official race sessions. It is a 30-lap heat event this afternoon, 100% fuel aboard these Gen 6 race cars. There is one green-white checkered should we need it. Heat 7 did, so we'll see if Heat 8 follows the pattern. A fast repair in the pits for the cars in this race as they get set to do battle in this 8th heat race. 5-minute solo qualifying is on track now. Times beginning to be set. And we'll set the grid for this 8th heat race. Then the important part for the drivers on track, who's in and who's out. Top 10 out of each heat race advance. Everyone else goes home this afternoon with only 30 laps under their belt. It's pretty cut and dry on what you need to do here this afternoon. We'll now bring in my broadcast partner. My name, of course, is Dawson Wise, still bringing you through the weekend. I'll continue to be the host throughout this afternoon's duels and tomorrow afternoon's SummerSlam 499, but pleased to be joined by the returning to the booth, Matthew Baker, as my co-host. And Baker, this event has been really, really fun so far. A lot of chaotic racing, some big moments, big names out, some underdog names in. Sure to be some more fireworks here in heat race number 8. So unfortunately, Matthew Baker having some technical issues. We'll give him just a second to come back into the broadcast booth here for the SummerSlam 499. A classic technology, working when you don't need it to, and not working when you need it to. But we'll allow Baker just a second. Happy to have him back into the broadcast booth as we get ready for this final heat race. Let's look ahead. Dual format for this evening's dual races. 60 laps, so double the length, 100% fuel aboard these race cars. The fast repair goes away, and that's going to be a major factor of how these guys race. As you don't have a do-over starting in those dual races, you will not have another chance. 3 green-white checkered attempts should we need them, instead of the 1 that we'll have here in this 8th heat race. The grid set by your heat finishing positions. Heats 1 through 4 ran the last 2 days. They made up duel number 1. Heats 5 through 8 make up dual race number 2. This race will make up the last quarter of the field of dual race number 2. The top 20 out of each dual race tomorrow afternoon, and we'll set the grid for the SummerSlam 499. Everybody else is going home with some limited exceptions. A couple of dual provisionals. We'll get to that when we get to it. And Malik Ray with the defending champions provisional will race on Sunday. Matthew Baker's back with us in the booth now after some technical issues. Baker, fireworks already this weekend in the heat races. Big names out, underdog names in as we expected. sure to be some more chaos here in the final heat race as we set the field for the duels.
Yeah, that was a great race with Falkingham taking the win. I questioned the decision of him not taking a lap on qualifying, and he wanted to be up there with Wyatt to start, but he proved me wrong yet again, gets up there and gets the win. It was a great race to the line. We're going to have a decision here shortly on the Rocky Boyd or Wyatt Gray situation via the rules of the interpretation, the egregious blocking. Me and Mike are going to sit down and talk about it, and we will get that solution to y'all shortly. But yeah, really excited for this last heat race. This is what you come here to put your lunch money on, to prepare for each week, and excited for another race.
Again, this is the 8th and final heat race of the weekend. So after this, we will start to transition into dual racing. And boy, some big names in this one. The one that pops off the screen to me is Matthew Zwack. He finished second in the PGR 500 back in February, pushed Daniel Falkingham to the lead on the final lap. He's back for another go in the SummerSlam 499. But some other names, as you look down the list, you got Chris Blanchard in this field for Blanchard's Towing and Recovery, one of the title sponsors of this event. Zach Novak returns in this field today. Jason Wallet returns in this field today. And then some of the regulars, Nathan Harper, currently third on the speed charts. Brian Hennings, fourth for VRX Simulators, carrying their colors. Jack Mummert made a start in last year's SummerSlam 499, looking to go 2 for 2. Some big names in this one to match the big names that have been in all 7 before this one. You mentioned the decision coming. Here is what we know as of now, as of the end of heat race number 7, before we get trackside. As of this second, and I don't have updated information quite yet, Wyatt Gray was given an EOL penalty on the last lap for the block that he threw on the back straightaway on Sean Hilkowicz. There is some discussion going on with that call, so do not set that in stone. It's not gospel yet, but keep that in mind. That is the call as of now. If that stands, Wyatt Gray is out, Rocky Boyd is in, but we'll give you the updated call, as Baker noted, here in just a moment. Qualifying is over. It's time to head down trackside and prepare for the final heat race of the weekend in the SummerSlam 499. Cars will start to get on the grid as we prepare for one last chance to lock yourself into the dual races this afternoon. And here we go. Starting grid will be loaded onto your screens, and we are ready to get it underway. 30 laps in a heat race here for the SummerSlam 499, the last one of the weekend. On the pole, with a time of 52.221 seconds, it's the driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, the JDR Graphics Toyota Camry of Matthew Zwack. It is outside. It'll be the 99 of Yaroslav Donskoy making a PGR start in the SummerSlam 499 this weekend. Back on row 2, it's one of the regulars and a PGR winner in Nathan Harper, starting from position number 3. And then it's the Team PGR and VRX driver Brian Hennings that starts outside him in position number 4. Back on row number 3, it'll be Matt Patton in the number 3 machine. To his outside will be Thomas Bennett, one of the drivers that raced into the PGR 500 back in February. He'll start from 6th. Row 4, it's going to be Axel Smith in the 97 machine. 97 on the timing and scoring, 22 on the paint scheme. To his outside, the former NASCAR College Series driver Jason Wallet, starting for position number 8. Back on row 5 and rounding out the top 10, it'll be the driver carrying the banner for Blanchard's Towing and Recovery, Chris Blanchard in the 9th position. To his outside, it is notable super speedway racer Zach Novak, starting from 10th.
Back to row 6, we've got Brandon Broadfoot, an old money racing regular in the 22 car. Starting to his outside is Harold Rothery. Back to row 7. We're going to have Jackson Mummert. He was one of the prelim winners last year for the PGR SummerSlam. Look for him to make some moves up towards the top. And Scott D. Howe in the 187. Back in row 8, you've got Raymond Root in the number 69 car. Very good super speedway racer. Runs a lot of the Draftmaster races. Does a very good job. And Tom Dixon, another money racing or super speedway regular, that is in the 411. Back in the 17th starting spot, you got Jesse Calloway, and in the 18th starting spot, Ryan Bailey in the Toyota Camry. And rounding out your top 10 rows, you've got David Drohan in the 19, and in the 20th starting spot, Mitch Regattas. And rounding out your 22 car field, you've got Mike Eskridge and Gavin Schilling in the number 40.
That is the grid that will contest this final heat race. One more car listed back there is Devin Lyons. There is one car that is not on the grid, and it is Mick Eskridge, excuse me. So keep that in mind. Lyons back starting towards the tail end of the field. Weather conditions are the same. 80-degree air temp, 136 degrees on the racetrack, although that will change for this afternoon's dual races. One more bout with high engine temperatures and high tire wear here this afternoon in this Gen 6 race car as we get ready to compete for 30 more laps. We have run 7 heats. There is only 1 to go. 10 more will advance into this afternoon's dual race number 2. We're ready to get it underway. Thanks so much for joining us for all of the heat races this weekend. Let's get it going on the last one. Into the restart zone for the first time, Matthew Zwack brings the field up to speed. Green flag, we're racing in heat race number 8. Well, I'll tell you what, some early jockeying back around the Brandon Broadfoot machine. That was about 12th or 13th in line. Off turn number 2 for the first time. Pretty all calm up at the front. Matthew Zwack on the bottom, pushed by Nathan Harper. On the outside, it's Donskoy on the push from Brian Hennings. A couple guys maybe not as familiar with each other as some of the other guys here at the front. Zwack, Harper, and Patton get the advantage here in turn number 3 as one car jumps to the middle. Thomas Bennett goes all the way top to bottom. He'll jump in line, and that is because Donskoy is not side drafting, and Baker, he's going backwards here in a hurry as Hennings splits into the middle.
Backwards in a hurry, he's going to fall all the way back and get hung out. Rothery looking like he's going to pick him up, is going to be 3 wide for about the 15th position on back, and he gets hung out yet again, so Donskoy going all the way towards the back, but Harper, Zwack, Patton doing a great job up front in the top 3.
Off turn number 2, a 5-car breakaway up front back to Chris Blanchard. Thomas Bennett then kind of hung out in no man's land here as he waits on his help to get to him. But that second group running 2 by 2. Dangerous territory here for the first time this weekend. We're looking at a potential breakaway up front. These 5 are still single file, and that second group has yet to figure it out that they need to also line up single file. Looks like that time is starting to slowly go down. Thomas Bennett is a bridge car for those cars. I thought it was going down. Bennett's actually catching the lead group. That second group going to have to get on their horses and go, led by Brandon Broadfoot and company back there, because they are losing time in a hurry to this first group. Lap 3 on the board. Still a 5, make it 6-car breakaway back to Bennett. You're on board with the leader of the second group, Hennings. They are coming, and coming in a hurry. 74 leads that second pack. 6-car breakaway. Where do they go when that second pack gets there?
Brian Hennings in that beautiful PGR SummerSlam 499 number 74 machine for PGR eSports and the PGR team. Getting pushed by Brandon Broadfoot and Jackson Mummert. They are dwindling down that gap. They should have the draft, and they do have the draft now, and they are going to have a massive run. You see the speed there, 201, 202 as they hit the corner, but 201 through the corner is going to be a massive run. Where does he go out of turn 4?
He's trying to back up. You see his throttle input there on that onboard position. He's trying to back up to Brandon Broadfoot to drag him into the tandem, perhaps, I thought. Well, turns out he was lifting to catch the tail end of this front pack. Hennings will settle 7th, 8th, 9th are those 3 cars that caught up. 3 more coming behind them. Hennings, Broadfoot, Mummert just caught up. It's RJ Root that leads that next group back that just also caught the group behind them. So a couple cars out back making their way back into the lead draft. And all of a sudden, we are one cohesive line along the bottom of the racetrack. How long will that last? Not long, of course. Yaroslav Donskoy pushing on the back of, I believe, Zach Novak in the 2 machine as they start to come forward. They'll enter the top 10 for one of the first times tonight. Novak, no stranger to these events, no stranger to super speedway money racing events either. Sure to be one of the most aggressive drivers on track. He gains a couple spots, and he's not done yet. On the outside, going to get alongside a couple more cars back around Brandon Broadfoot and Jack Mummert. Here comes Zach Novak to the front at Talladega on lap 5.
Novak to the top side. He's going to start rolling big time once he gets the push from Donsky. But you see towards the back here, it looks like Jason Wallach going to be the first one off the pace with Drohan, Callaway, and Regattas. They have lost that lead draft. Can they form back up and get back up to the front? As I say that, here comes Bennett to the top side. Donsky trying to give a big push on the back bumper, but they shuffle all the way to the top side. Matthew Zwack, Nathan Harper leading that outside with Patton in tow.
Very calm, cool, collected move by the top 4 to 5 cars on the outside lane as they all move to the safer barrier at the same time. very easily. Most of them veterans at this point. Thomas Bennett, again, ran in that next-gen package, the old next-gen package, which was more like this racing than it is now. Bennett knows his way around one of these heat races. He's up to 5th on that outside lane, that white and orange and red and black. I believe there's flames or some kind of something on the hood of that race car as he works up the outside. On the bottom now, here comes the run from Chris Blanchard. Again, carrying those Blanchard's Towing and Recovery logos, pushed by Brian Hennings, a guy I had circled because of how hyper-aggressive he is as a pusher in this drafting style. He's going to send Blanchard all the way to 3rd. He might send him to the lead up the banking in 3.
Great push on the inside, but you see that top lane come down for the side draft. Those 3 working very well together, starting with that person in the 3rd spot on the top lane. That is Matthew Patton, that beautiful number 3 paint scheme with the chrome on the front. I'm privy to it because I did paint it, but nonetheless, it is still a great paint scheme out there. But you see, they're being calm, they're being cool, they're being collected. Harper is fine with being 2nd in line on the top. That's how you know it's a veteran in the money racing scene. They'll come down, grab that side draft again, keep the lane even, and a big push out of the corner here from Nathan Harper.
Oh, trouble. Big hit in the back. It was the 69 machine of RJ Root that got sideways and pounded the outside wall off the bumper of the 14 of Ryan Bailey. We'll have to see if Root is able to get this thing back moving. He will not. He'll go immediately to the pit road area. The engine up in smoke on pit road for RJ Root as he came off the bumper of Ryan Bailey on the exit of turn number 2. It puts us under the caution for the first time here in heat race number 8. Let's go back and take a look. You see Ryan Bailey behind the 69 of Root, and off turn 2. Oh, they get offset. It shoots Root to the left, and as Bailey tries to recenter, he turns the 69 straight into the outside safer barrier. And it was such a hard hit, it blew the engine. Ryan Bailey's got significant damage to that 14 machine as well. You'll go on board and you'll see what I mean. Right here, he's going to try to push him. He actually, I think, is going to hit him once. That one's fine. The second one, not so much. And the third one is a right hook into the outside safer barrier for Ryan Bailey into RJ Root. Only 2 cars involved, but huge damage, especially on the 69. And for Ryan Bailey, huge suspension damage, fast repair going to be needed on that Toyota.
An unfortunate situation for that number 14 car and that 69 car. But this is going to bunch the field back up and get some good racing again. 69, you see in pit lane. He has got a blown engine. Hopefully he's got the fast repair checked. He can only go about a lap down, but great racing so far in the first 7 laps. Led there by Matthew Zwack. No stranger to the front of the field when it comes to super speedway racing, and Nathan Harper doing just the same.
So we will head back up front. Matthew Zwack has looked very good in this early portion of this race, and you want to go back and touch on the 69. You might be thinking, oh, his engine's blown, his race is over. That's not the case. He'll go a lap down here in the towing process, but he does have a fast repair available to him, so should be able to get that car fixed up. They'll put a new engine in it, if you will, and he'll get back out on the racetrack and have a chance to get back on the lead lap. And it's definitely not impossible. Last night, Matt Hutchinson in one of the last heat races we ran went a lap down in that race for damage as well, and managed to miss a crash, get back on the lead lap, and be battling for the transfer positions when it came down to it. So it's not impossible by any means. We've seen a couple of different cars crash this weekend and make their way to the dual races later on this afternoon. So his race is not over. The weekend is not all lost for RJ Root. He will continue to try to work on that race car and get it back out on the speedway. We'll keep you updated on where he and Ryan Bailey come back out of pit road under the first caution. Let's re-rack. Matthew Zwack leads the field here on lap number 9. It's Nathan Harper. He goes right behind him in the 2nd spot. Matt Patton is 3rd. Chris Blanchard is 4th. And Axel Smith is up to the 5th position. Rest of the top 10, Brian Hennings back in the 6th spot. Thomas Bennett in 7th. Jack Mummert in 8th. Zach Novak in 9th. Harold Rothery, as they run, is 10th. Couple drivers outside the transfer that I'll be looking for here. Tom Dixon is one of them in 14th. Jason Wallet gets the benefit of a caution. He's 16th and back with the field. Of course, we got the 2 cars that just crashed. And Brandon Broadfoot started up in the 11th position. He has dropped to the 15th spot on the early runs of this race. Plenty of time to go, though. 22 laps to go here in heat race number 8. Plenty of time. You may think it's a much more of a sprint. In this car, I promise you, you can make moves quickly. Remember, Gordon Spain, on the last restart last night, dropped to 14th. He finished 4th in last night's heat race number 5. So still a lot to race for if you're the guys outside the transfer positions, still trying to get inside that top 10 positions. Well, we told you about the penalty to Wyatt Gray just a little bit ago in that heat race number 7 as he threw a block on Sean Hilkowicz on the last lap and was EOL'd on the blocking rule. Baker, do we have any updates from race control on the discussions regarding that penalty at this point in time?
I think Triscaro's still worried about this heat race. It may come after the last heat race here. I know he's talking to Lane and Veliky up in the admin chat. Try and get an answer from him here after we go under green flag conditions. Maybe we get another caution and see if we can get an official call. But per what the rules state, it looks like it's probably going to be a Wyatt Gray EOL again. Nothing official at this point, but it is probably going to be a Wyatt Gray EOL with a Rocky Boyd moving up into that 10th and final spot from heat 7.
Well, it takes me back just a little bit. The other night on Thursday, we had some discussions, myself and Austin, when we were up here in the broadcast booth as to the exact implications of the blocking rule and when it would be called and when it would not be called. And I recall that conversation now because it's being called in a different way. On Thursday night, we were under the implication that it would need to cause a crash in order to be penalized. Now, Wyatt Gray's block directly, to me, did not cause the incident in turn number 3. It ended up being Nash Brambilla and Sean Hilkowicz that got together separately from that incident. But it does harken me back to that conversation about the blocking rule and how it would continue to be called. So Wyatt Gray, as of now, called for an end-of-line penalty. If you'll recall back to heat race number 3, to me, Wyatt Gray's block looked very similar to the block that Kyler Wynn threw in heat race number 3. It was deemed a clean block. So it'll be interesting to see how this call ends up and also how it is called going forward in this event. But right now, we saw Wyatt Gray called for it. Obviously, some discussion still happening, but it does harken me back to that conversation I had with Austin on Thursday night in heat race number 3. We got business to attend to here, though, in heat race number 8, as we will advance 10 more drivers into this afternoon's dual race number 2. Matthew Zwack and Nathan Harper so far working well together, but now split up on this restart. You know, Baker, you've been in these events. What kind of communication is going on right now between Zwack and Harper here on the front row? Are they working together as closely as we think, or is it just kind of an instinct thing for the guys on the front row?
I think it's a little bit of both. You definitely make your friends where you can get them whenever you're not running a normal, regular money race with your teammates. But I think you're going to see Harper and Zwack keep working together because they have that familiarity as the pace car pulls off. But Blanchard doing a great job, too. Watch for him and Hennings to make some noise and push Harper here to the lead.
Yeah, Chris Blanchard, certainly one of the drivers to watch for, obviously carrying the title sponsor aboard that Chevrolet Camaro, so we'll see what he can do in the 9. Green flag back in the air, 20 laps to go here in heat race number 8, a third of the way through. Great start for Zwack, great start for Patton on the bottom. Harper trying to get alongside Patton for second. Patton trying to get cleared, he will here into turn number 1. How about that for Matt Patton? Great restart. Bennett jumps out from behind Brian Hennings, top 6, now 7 on the top side. On the bottom, it's that blue, black, and white Chevrolet of Axel Smith, one of the underdogs I circled on my list this weekend, along with Zach Novak. A couple other cars coming along with them on the bottom, including Gavin Schilling, who makes a heat race appearance after he had some technical issues earlier in heat race number 7. Into 3, Novak and Smith are tandem. Here they come to the front. Axel Smith breaks into the top 5 for the first time.
Yeah, it's been nice to watch Axel Smith grow as a driver here through the money racing scene, and now he's got a pro on his back bumper, giving a push, giving the tandem push, but you just see how strong that outside lane is no matter how the tandem happens on the bottom. They're extending out all the way to the wall and still losing a little bit of ground, but Axel Smith trying to fight back here into turn 1, but he will not. He gets a third car on the back bumper in Schilling in that number 40. Beautiful looking it looks like the Coors Light car. It's not, but it is pretty close. But that bottom line starting to form up, starting to get a little bit more momentum. The temps are going to run out on the bottom side, and you see a huge tandem push. What a push from Matthew Patton there on the outside.
Yeah, Matt Patton, no stranger to PGR either, and he's going to take a left on Matthew Zwack. How about that for Matt Patton? He said, I don't care who's running in front of me. Matthew Zwack, a second-place finisher in the PGR 500, and a guy with a super speedway record that speaks for itself, and he jumps right out of line. Trouble almost out back around Jason Wallet. They get it gathered up about 15th in the field. But Patton said, I don't care what the name on the back of your car says. I don't care what the license says next to your name. I'm going to treat you as any other car. And that's exactly what the Rush Truck Center Chevrolet did right there. He goes to the bumper of Axel Smith. Topside Zwack and Harper now, and it's kind of a tandem battle here at the front. The third car not really close for either. Man, Axel Smith and Matt Patton now get disconnected just a little bit. Advantage outside with Matthew Zwack and Nathan Harper. As the bottom tries to rebound, they're going to start to lose cars here down the backstretch.
Yeah, absolutely huge push on the outside after it was disconnected between Axel Smith. He'll try and gain the temps back, but that's going to clear the top 5 basically all the way top 4 to the top side, cleared to the bottom. Not going to take the move though, as we have 18 coming to 17 laps to go here in the race. Very good job by Matthew Zwack managing Nathan Harper, though. He's the only reason why Zwack's staying up front. He's done a great job this whole race, and Patton did as well. He wanted to get a little bit greedy, try and go for the lead, but you see where that gets you. It puts you back to about 5th spot, now up to 4th.
Yeah, up to 4th for now, but Axel Smith gets disconnected again here in turns 1 and 2. Got to think that maybe the temps are starting to struggle a little bit underneath that 22. Look for somebody up and around the front like Blanchard, but don't expect him to move, being right behind Nathan Harper, a guy he works pretty closely with. Brian Hennings as well would be the first guy I think I would look at to take the left and move down there, but that bottom lane just does not have the steam right now as Patton and Axel Smith, they're managing, staying right around that 5th or 4th position. That's about as far up as they can get as they run on the speedway. One car lost the back end of the draft, trying to figure out which car that was out back of the field. I believe it might be the lap car of RJ Root, but I could not particularly tell. And it is the 69 of Root, but this honestly isn't a bad strategy for RJ Root to run out back of the field, because when they wreck, if they wreck, I presume, he will get his lap back, and he'll be the lucky dog. The only car currently 1 lap down, and the only one outside the draft besides Devin Lyons, who sits on the pit lane. Back up front continues to be Zwack leading the way. Axel Smith bails on Matt Patton and jumps to the outside in behind the 77 up on the outside lane. Smith finds himself a spot in line behind Jack Mummert. Patton now leads the bottom with Novak in tow. Still a good couple, maybe 3 cars down there with Gavin Schilling as they try to work back up front. Maybe the connection maybe a little bit better between Novak and Patton than it was between Smith and Matt Patton.
And we're going to give the official call that Wyatt Gray is out and Rocky Boyd is in that 10th and final position in the heat race. So we are done on that admin perspective. We'll go back on track here as you see Matthew Zwack getting a big push from Harper, but a bigger push on the bottom from Patton. He clears up to the top, and you see Zwack now going to try and manage. He hasn't been in the 2nd spot, and look at that, goes to the bottom with Harper. I think Zwack wants to lead every lap of this race.
It would not be surprising with the profile of driver of Matthew Zwack. He wants to lead a lot. He wants to be up front and be able to play defense instead of having to play offense. That's exactly what that JDR Camry's doing so far. Wallet in the wall out back, gets it gathered back up. 2 wide continues here at the front. Now it's Novak leading the bottom with Schilling behind him. And then it's David Drohan in the 10 machine 3rd on the inside. And Mitch Regatas down there with them. But up front continues to be Zwack and Harper that has been the dynamic duo so far. Patton got to the lead for a moment. You got to think he's still okay with running where he's at right now. 3rd on the outside, right in front of Blanchard and Hennings. Those are 2 guys that he runs with quite a bit on the weekly scene. So you got to think pretty good feeling. You want to lead if you're Matthew Patton. I understand that. But at the end of the day, you can't control the guys around you. I got to imagine he's pretty confident running up there. The bottom has a bit of a roll here off of turn number 4. Here comes Zach Novak. He'll get to the front row for the first time today. It'll be Gavin Schilling on his back bumper. The outside saw it. They came down to side draft, and all of a sudden Novak going backwards again in the trial.
Zach Novak, though, he knows how to get up to the front and lead these races. If he gets a sniff of the lead here, he will go up there and hold it. Him and Zwack going to do a great job together. But the top side rolling there down the front stretch as they approach the back stretch. Patton trying to get back up there, but I think he's content there riding 3rd in line. He was content there on the first run riding 3rd in line. Only 1 car out back towards the middle. You see that sucker hole really, really effective here in this car. The top side really rolling well together as they come down for that side draft, just like the first run. Try and manage this bottom line as they have some momentum coming out of turn 4.
Another roll for that inside lane, but they just cannot get it going once the field works off of the banking and onto the straightaway. You see visibly just how far back Zach Novak goes on that side draft now. Schilling way off the back bumper. One shoots the gap. It's Thomas Bennett, the 33. He's got Harold Rothery with him. Schilling off the racetrack from behind. Novak going to have to try to find a way back up in that 40. Now the bottom really plummets a little bit on the entry to turn number 1. Oh, man, that car's still sideways out back. It was Gavin Schilling in the 40. They got way out of shape out behind the field. He'll lose the draft, and he'll now require a caution flag at some point in the last 12 of this one. Coming close to 10 laps to go. Just 12 remaining in the final heat race for this one. Matthew Zwack up front. Harper, Patton, Blanchard, Hennings, Donskoy returns to the front. Jack Mummert is up here as well, right in front of Axel Smith. All of those cars were clear. Novak starts to regroup just a little. One car out of line, it was Jack Mummert. He got in the outside wall. He's got right front damage. 4 wide back around him for a moment. He'll try to file back in line as he got in the outside wall coming off of turn number 4. No harm, no foul. We keep it going. It allows the top 8 on the top to break away just a little bit, make that 7 back to Axel Smith. Baker, as soon as the inside line started to fall apart, Zach Novak bails. He goes to the top and now leaves the inside to try to fend for itself.
It puts a couple cars off the pace. They're going to hold the draft, though. But I've seen it each time. There's one car that usually goes to the middle, trying to avoid the stack-ups. The stack-ups in these cars have been absolutely atrocious in the past heat races, and it's only going to amplify as you put more cars on track, and that's when you put those 44 cars on together. You see Bennett, he's rolling the top side. He's got Broadfoot behind him. Broadfoot playing it safe right now. Actually, he's on the bottom, but he is playing it safe, 4th in line there on the bottom side. Good looking paint scheme, that red, blue, and black number 44 car rolling around on the bottom side. You see, look at that throttle input. He's lifting it, sometimes breaking into the corner, but completely out of the gas as he enters turn 1, because it's just how bad these checkups can be. But he's doing a great job managing that gap and managing the distance.
Ooh, car on the wall. Thomas Bennett, the 33, gets in the outside saver barrier off the exit of turn number 2. He's able to get it back gathered up. He and Jack Mummert, another moment there off the end of the back straightaway. They'll get back together, hold the pack. No harm, no foul there either. You talk about the spoiler. I'll get to that in just a second. Or you talk about the run, excuse me. Here you see Bennett, and ooh, some contact actually from out front. I thought he just got in the wall by himself. But he actually got some contact from one of the cars in front of him in line. I do want to mention those checkups you talked about. It's because of that massive wicker bill spoiler on the back end of the car. Similarly to how NASCAR was for 2018 to 2021 with the huge runs, it's because that spoiler just gives off such a huge wake, a big draft field that you can just really speed up. And also these cars were basically glued to the ground as well, and that contributes to it. Also, middle line starting to roll. How about Zach Novak in the 2, but he's getting a top push. Crash! Around goes Zach Novak. He'll spin across the field. David Drohan is in it. Brandon Broadfoot is in it. One car's in the inside wall, looked like Mitch Regatas, and we crash apart here on the end of the Alabama Gang Super Stretch.
Yeah, just it's inevitable here. You get too close to racing, you get that side draft, so those big push people out of line. Novak gets sideways, gets down into the bottom side, but looking at the replay now, you got the 187 of Scott D. Howell giving a push to Zach Novak, and it just up the track from the middle line, or sorry, from the bottom line. That is the number 10 car. Gets up into Novak. Looks more of a racing deal to me, but we'll see what the call is here.
It looks like guys going for the same piece of real estate, or maybe a checkup on the bottom, as you just had mentioned, for the 10 of David Drohan, as well as the push from Scott D. Howell was getting Zach Novak way out of shape here in this 2 car. Watch this push down the back straightaway. The first one's fine, but watch some of these. Out of shape, another one out of shape, and it actually at the same time as Drohan starts to come up, that push from Howell to Novak actually shoves him down just a little bit in the 2 car. So to me, meeting in the middle, I agree with your assessment of that one, but some cars out back involved. Tom Dixon gets a big piece of this, so does Mitch Regatas. David Drohan, of course, in the 10. You see the damage there on Dixon. That left front tire is a little worse for wear. Brandon Broadfoot got a piece of this as well in that 22 that you just talked about a moment ago. You're on board now with Dixon. You're going to see it start in front of him. I got to imagine there's just nowhere to go, and yep, comes back across. Does Zach Novak. Dixon nowhere he can go. Gets hit one more time as well. So for Dixon, tough break. Nothing much you can do, and you see that left front wheel. He can't even turn the car into the banking of the racetrack there, as left front wheel, left front axle has serious damage. Again, a fast repair available. So for the 411 of Dixon, race is not over for him. He'll be able to wheel it back to the pits and get that fast repair. quite possibly the happiest driver on track under this caution here with 8 laps to go. It's a driver that waited about 12 laps for this caution to come out. And that is going to be RJ Root, who is the recipient of the lucky dog under this, the second caution of the night. I told you to just wait. He'll get his night back eventually. The engine blew on that 69 machine. He waited it out. He took his fast repair, and he's got a fresh shot. And it's not like he only has 2 laps to go. Baker, he's going to have about 5 laps to work with to work back into the transfer positions.
Yeah, it's tough with this car as he starts at the end of the longest line, so hopefully no one in front of him has too much damage for him to try and get back up there and try and get in that transfer position. But another update, again, I'm on the breaking news a bunch here. From Heat 7, Triscaro is going to go ahead and put both Rocky Boyd and Wyatt Gray through. The reason being the rule wasn't clearly defined. It just says egregious blocking. How we are going to define it is it's egregious blocking that leads to a wreck, how we've done it before. But just for what the rules of emphasis had stated, we are going to update that. That way, going forward, we can all be on the same page. But both Wyatt Gray and Rocky Boyd advancing to the duels. That'll be 42 cars in duel number 2.
We look forward to the dual races coming up in just a little bit after we get done here with heat race number 8. Do want to briefly explain how this is going to work broadcast-wise for that race. Again, if you did not catch any of the recruitment races or the heat races the last 2 nights, so what we're going to do is it's going to be a separate broadcast for those dual races. So heat 7 and 8 is its own stream. If you went to our main page, you'll see a separate one for duels. We'll head over there when this race ends, and coverage will begin sometime around 3:50 Eastern time for dual race number 1. So keep that in mind. That we'll be going to a separate dual race stream following this event coming up here in about an hour and 20 minutes from right now as we prepare for the dual races this evening. So wanted to give you that information so that you all are updated on the programming and don't miss any of dual race 1 or dual race 2. Because, Bakers, we start to look forward, and even looking at the drivers currently inside the top 10, Zwack, Harper, Patton, Blanchard, Hennings, Donskoy, Smith, Wallet, Rothery, Bailey, and even some of the guys that could still get in. Mummert, Zach Novak, RJ Root out back just got the lucky dog. I mean, there are some huge names that could join Duel 2. Duel 1 is set, and that field is loaded. Duel 2 looking to be equally as loaded here with the last 10 coming out of heat race number 8.
Yeah, and excited to see which 10 drivers will round out the rest of this field. Going to be a really good one, as we're going to have a 5-lap shootout to determine the winner of this race. My bet's on either Zwack or Novak. I think Novak can get back up there in 5 laps, to be honest. But Harper, also another one that's been looking really strong this race. Matt Patton as well, with Brian Hennings on the bottom.
They will get ready to send this one back under the green flag. 5 laps will remain. Any caution from now until the white flag will send us into that 1 PGR overtime attempt that will be coming up here in just a little bit if we need it. I'll explain the format to you when we get there. These guys up front, especially Zwack, Harper, Patton, Blanchard, Hennings, that have been up front all race long, they would like to see this one go 5 laps without much drama, especially here at the front of the field as we get ready to go back green. And, you know, another factor going into the dual races here for these guys, yeah, you've got to race your way in this heat race, Baker, but it's also the quickest turnaround of any of the heat races this weekend. These guys are only going to have a little less than 3 hours to get out of the race car, recharge, maybe go grab a snack real quick before they hop right back in for dual race number 2 at 5:30. I got to imagine that does something to the driver's mentality here as well.
Yeah, 100%. And we have, as we're coming out of turn 4, but we have another provisional. Ryko didn't have a driver that identified a provisional, so what we are going to do is we're going to take the bottom 20 of each duel as we approach the Geico restart zone, but we're going to take the bottom 20 and we're going to spin a wheel, and that will determine our last grid spot for the PGR SummerSlam 499. But as we get set here to take the green flag, Matthew Zwack on the bottom, Matt Patton, Nathan Harper, Chris Blanchard, Brian Hennings, green flag back in the air. We're back racing at Talladega.
And it's a great start on the bottom side for Matthew Zwack and Matt Patton, and they are lined up. Zwack going to take advantage of the outside being open, though, in front of Harper and take that space instead. Out back, Axel Smith jumps up as well. On the inside, it's Patton and Hennings now that are by themselves, but they are tandem together. Let's see what they can work on down the back straightaway. No help coming to them. Man, I don't know what it is about cars with the 3 of Matt Patton, but they just have not been able to get connected. The only one that's been able to push Patton so far in this race was Zach Novak in the 2, and even that was a little bit sketchy as they got to the front. Patton, Hennings will jump in, crash. Out back, I believe it was Ryan Bailey that gets hard into the outside wall. We stay green for now, but it's the 14 that got out of shape. He'll lose the pack and has severe wheel damage aboard that 14 Toyota. Will continue up front under green as Bailey has the meatball flag. Zwack leads, and the top several are clear up top.
Well, the top 5, another breakaway at this point. If they form up and shoot to the bottom, I think they could maybe make a little bit of ground, but that top side still rolling in. Brian Hennings doing a great job giving a push, or at least staying close to Matt Patton. He let him up there after they got the start on the bottom, so look for those two to maybe make a move here at the white flag coming out of 4 to try and go for it. But right now, a single file all the way through your top 11, top 12.
And again, this is a story we've seen most of the weekend in our heat races. These races get single file inside single digits, and it just takes one making a move up front for the train to start to move towards the yellow line, and even the leaders throwing a block back to heat 2. If you'll remember, Jacob Wilkerson, Jack Mace throwing the block to the bottom when that move happened inside of 10 laps to go. The move is already starting. It was Scott Howell, the first one out of line with Harold Rothery, Jack Mummert, Mitch Regattas, RJ Root starting to come to the front, starting to make a little bit of headway on that bottom lane. Howell works into the transfer positions. So too does Harold Rothery behind him. Bottom starting to try to work, but man, Rothery gets way disconnected with Howell there on the exit of turn number 2. They're not running the bottom either. They're running the middle, which I find to be really interesting for that second lane. Usually they go all the way to the yellow line to maximize the time gained. Instead, they're working in the middle, and I think it's slowing their progress just a little bit here into 3.
I was just about to say that. Not only does it a little bit longer way around, but you're sitting there side drafting yourself. The left side draft is okay, but it's nothing compared to the right side draft. As you see, it pulls Scott Howell up the track, gets a little bit loose. Same thing with Rothery. You just need to keep those 2 cars connected. Yes, it's getting temps to Rothery, but the thing is, they have to take the bottom here. If they want to make any progress at all, I would be shooting to the bottom, trying to hang out these guys, put them in the sucker hole to advance my position here on the bottom side.
Now, they made some ground on that inside lane. They got back up to about 7th alongside Brian Hennings, but you see right here in the corner what Baker's talking about, that side draft. Jason Wallet in the outside wall, gets it again here off of 2. That's going to give Howell an opportunity to get up. He does not take it. He declines that opportunity and will stay running in that middle lane. If I'm one of those guys out back of him, if I'm Mummert, Regattas, RJ Root, I almost take a left around Rothery and Howell here. If I'm Rothery, I think I hang a left and let Howell run the middle and go to the bottom. I think it's going to be your only opportunity to get your way in as they come off 4. Man, tight quarters between Patton and Howell as he tries to get the left side draft. One car finally jumps out. It's Schilling, and at the line, Baker, they'll see the white flag. 1 lap to go in heat race number 8.
White flag in the air. They're still maintaining that middle line. It's really not getting them anywhere, but the thing is he's sitting in a transfer position. If I'm Scott Howell, I'm staying where I'm at right now, because he's just been staying right inside that 7th to 8th spot. Now he's drifting back. He's going to be 9th here. Novak right on the bubble of the transfer position. An eNASCAR Pro looking on the outside looking in. As I say that, he is up to 9th place as we hit turn 3.
Oh, man, but he jumps out of line. Nobody wanting to go with him. Now one car starts to dive out behind the 2 of Novak. They will scramble big time around those positions. Broadfoot around the outside, a huge move in 12th. Trouble almost as Novak gets turned. Regatta's turned. Bennett's in it. To the line. Here comes Blanchard to the inside. Donskoy looking to the inside of Smith. Harper for the win at the line. Nathan Harper wins Heat 8 and a scramble out back for the transfer spots.
Oh my goodness, as timing and scoring is showing me Zach Novak is out. An eNASCAR Pro out. Oh man, this is another domino to fall. A huge name on the outside looking in as we finish this heat race.
We'll go back and take a look at the entire scramble to the finish. That bottom lane had started to work with Schilling and Bennett, and Tom Dixon joined it as well as they tried to get into the transfer positions, and kind of stuff started to get out of shape here down the Alabama Gang super stretch. Zach Novak started to get turned here on the entry of turn number 3 as a car goes with him, and it was Scott Howell, I think, that also got a piece of this as well as they all tried to meet. And Novak, man, I just don't know why you hang a left out of line. He was in. He tries to block Howell. He gets turned. He goes up the racetrack. Broadfoot gets around him. Drohan gets around him. And Novak, there's just nobody home for him. And at the line, these 2 race what ends up being for 9th and not 10th. Boy, a great heat finish up front. 8 cars under a blanket. But how about the runs for Jesse Calloway and Brandon Broadfoot, who will race in dual race number 2. But it's the winner on the front stretch. It's the driver for NBG Motorsports. It's Nathan Harper that wins heat race number 8.
And we called it. We knew he was going to be pushing all the way until that tri-oval. Makes a great move, pulls out of line, gets the win as he does dual burnouts with one of the other Money Racing regulars and Brian Hennings. It's a celebration just to get into that transfer position. No matter you win or not, Brandon Broadfoot also doing burnouts. A great drive from him to get up there.
I'll go to the finishing results for heat race number 8, tell you who's in and who's out. Nathan Harper wins heat race number 8 by 5/100ths of a second over second place Axel Smith. How about the run for the 97 into dual race number 2? Matthew Zwack led a bunch of laps, rewarded with a 3rd place finish. He'll race as well in that dual race. Matthew Patton ran a great race in that 3 machine. He'll finish in 4th, and it's Chris Blanchard that goes 5th. Yaroslav Donskoy went to the back and right back to the front. He finishes 6th and will race in dual race number 2. So will Brian Hennings, carrying the PGR and VRX colors. Jason Wallet finishes in the 8th position. And then the 2 I mentioned earlier, Brandon Broadfoot finishes 9th. Jesse Calloway, the final man to advance, in the 10th position.
As we look at the non-transfer spots, we've got David Drohan, the first man on the outside looking in the number 10 in the 11th spot. Zach Novak, eNASCAR Pro out in the 12th position. Gavin Schilling, great run for him all the way up to the last couple of corners. He is out on 13th. Jackson Mummert, 14th. Harold Rothery, 15th. Scott Howe, got to the inside of Novak. He had a chance there. It just slowed up both their momentums and put them on the outside looking in. 16th, Raymond Root, even going down a lap, came back on the lead lap, not enough, in 17th. Mitch Regatas, 18th, and Thomas Bennett, Tom Dixon rounding out your top 20. 21st, you got Ryan Bailey, Devin Lyons, 17 laps down, and Mick Estrich did not take a lap in that 23rd spot.
Another chaotic heat race. This one a little bit more tame in terms of the transfer positions as the ones we've seen this weekend, as really it was decided in the trial who would be in and who would be out. For the win, it was a different story. Though Matthew Zwack led most of the race, the guy that played good soldier for him most of the day ends up taking it out from underneath him. It is the driver of the 4 for NBG Motorsports, Nathan Harper, that goes to heat race victory lane. And as we prepare to move on to the duels, the final heat winner will be ready to join us up here in the broadcast booth to tell us about his race and how he got to victory lane. It's Nathan Harper for NBG Motorsports, and my partner Matthew Baker stands by with the driver of the 4.
Well, Harper, good move there to the tri-oval. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, take me through that race. I was saying I knew you were going to be patient all the way through pushing Zwack until you got to the tri-oval. Is that what was going through your mind there on that final restart, or you were just thinking transfer through?
Transfer, that's all I'm worried about right now. I'll worry about winning when I can make it to the feature. In order to win the feature, you got to advance. But I didn't want to. I wanted to push through all the way, but my temps were red. When you go red, you can blow up any moment. But I knew I didn't screw him over doing that because he finished 3rd. But yeah, we did an awesome job all race. We executed the restarts. He got up in front of me, and surprisingly, the bottom was just not competitive. I know the bottom from previous heats was bad, but this race, I don't know, you only saw it for 2 laps and it just fizzled out. So, it made my job easy.
It definitely made your job easy. Patton made it easy as well, being 3rd line there on the top side. Most of that run through, getting that side draft off the bottom lane. But nonetheless, a great move by you to get the win. You're playing with house money now. Anyone you like to thank or shout out?
Yes, the people, I recruited a team, and there was 5 of us, and I thought we overloaded, but we all advanced. Shout out to Axel Smith, Patton. He wasn't in our call, but, I said I'd work with him. Zwack, of course, we worked together. Blanchard and Hennings and Brandon Broadfoot for barely squeaking in. So we all made it. So that was cool. Very special. Shout out for y'all for broadcasting this for us. Mike for putting this on. You, of course, and everyone who showed up to make this event possible.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Harper. Your day's not done, though. You're in Duel 2. You'll be starting 4th on the grid. Good luck tonight, or later today, I should say, and great job.
Thank you, sir.
Nathan Harper, the winner here of heat race number 8. A guy that was nervous coming into this heat race, didn't look very nervous to me. in this 30-lap run. We have the final 10, and now we have the official 80 that will be coming up here in just a little bit in the dual races. You see it on your screen now. Coming up next, we will dual race and set the official starting grid for tomorrow afternoon's 3rd annual running of the SummerSlam 499. We're going to take a bit of an extended break now here in just a moment, but you see the time there on your screen. 4 o'clock Eastern is green flag for dual race number 1. We'll be back here about 3:50, 3:45, somewhere in that time range for coverage of those dual races this afternoon. If you liked what you saw in these heat races, folks, let me tell you, you're not going to want to miss a second of these duels coming up. Some of the best now all mashed into 2 separate dual fields. 80 drivers for 40 spots. It's going to be a heck of an afternoon here on PGR Esports. Well, Baker will bring you in one more time here as we get ready to switch over and start to prep for 2 dual races this afternoon. Heat 8 provides about as many fireworks as we could possibly ask for. And in the end, it's Nathan Harper, a guy that for some flies under the radar compared to the bigger names like Zwack and Novak and Malik Ray. Harper, a name that flies a little bit under the radar, but a guy that has plenty of super speedway pedigree to get it done. He gets the job done in heat number 8. And for the transfers, how about the efforts of Jesse Calloway and Brandon Broadfoot?
Yeah, great race to call. Glad I could be up in the booth with you, Dawson. But now the mindset shifts to the duels. You got pit stops, you've got long green flag runs, and you've got 40 cars instead of 20, and you're trying to make the top 20. You're going to see the bottom form up a lot better than these heat races that had 20 cars. You're going to see a lot more energy. You're going to see a lot more fireworks, and maybe some people on the outside looking in that deserve to be in that feature race. But you're going to see some very, very good racing for both duels, and I'm just excited to be here for it.
Well, looking forward to those dual races. Excited to have you back either with Race Control or here in the booth with us as well. Excited that you're back around the PGR scene for this event this weekend. We look forward now to dual racing coming up later this afternoon for the SummerSlam 499. Cannot wait to get those 120 laps total on track. We will set the field for tomorrow afternoon's biggest sim racing event of the summer coming up in just about an hour on the East Coast. I want to take one more opportunity to thank our sponsors, both of the event and of this 8th heat race on the way out the door. Our title sponsors for this event, Blanchard's Towing and Recovery. Great representation for them in the dual races this afternoon as Chris Blanchard will carry their colors in dual race number 2. Secondary sponsor for the event, the folks over at Ryko Performance. I want to thank them for their continued support of the SummerSlam 499. And for heat race number 8, I want to thank our sponsor for that race as well. Our sponsors, plural, and VRX Simulators and Mark Vondell Racing for their continued support of this event as well. Thank everyone that came on to support this event. It is truly incredible to see all the different companies and drivers acting as liaisons for sponsors of this event. It was a really cool thing to watch come together. I want to thank all those groups for their support of this event. That is going to wrap up our coverage of the heat races for the SummerSlam 499. 8 heats complete. We're down to 80 drivers left in the field. We'll whittle it from 80 to 40 coming up later this afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here so far in the heat races, but I'm telling you, it's going to get better. In about an hour, we'll be back for coverage of dual race number 1 here on PGR Esports. For my co-hosts this afternoon, Michael Triscaro and Matthew Baker, my name is Dawson Wise. You've been watching live coverage of the SummerSlam 499 heat races. We'll see you here in just a little bit for dual race number 1. Until then, we'll see you next time.